Madam Chairman, and Secretary Yellen, you have created a team within Treasury to focus on climate change. You are also the chair of the Financial Stability Oversight Council, which is charged with identifying systemic risk to the financial system. I certainly understand that changes to weather patterns could pose risk to individual credits or insurance policyholders, but linking hypothetical climate scenarios to risk to the entire financial system seems to me highly speculative. And on the flip side, I worry that injecting ill-defined climate scenarios into financial regulation and supervision creates the immediate and very real risk of driving investment and credit allocation away from job-producing industries like fossil energy, an industry that still provides 80% of total energy consumed in the United States and remains the most affordable and reliable source of energy to the American economy. Are you incorporating this real risk into your assessments around climate? And how do you plan to account for the disruptions in the labor market, the very significant disruptions to the labor market from lost energy jobs? And what about increasing energy prices and decreasing reliability for consumers? Is that something FSOC will look at in addition to in the context of your climate czar? And you need to unmute.
I believe that FSOC can play a role in arranging discussions among financial regulators, all of whom have responsibilities for assessing risks from climate change to the financial institutions that they supervise and regulate, to coordinate a system-wide response using the best available tools. I think FSOC can facilitate identification of data and information, including high-quality financial disclosures that are needed to understand climate risks and make sure that climate risks are addressed fully in light of these assessments. I don't see FSOC as playing a role in telling financial institutions what kind of lending they can do, but information is important.
Thank you. And if just reclaiming my time, I would just encourage Treasury to consider the role that shifting consumption away from fossil energy towards renewables, despite the market's continued demand for fossil, that the impact that could have on the economy as well, and systemic risk, as opposed to just looking at hypothetical climate scenarios. Broadband, Madam Secretary, the pandemic has been especially hard for rural families who don't have broadband connection in my home state of Kentucky. And I'm glad that the American Rescue Plan allows for necessary investments in broadband, but one of the ongoing problems we've had is that funding on broadband infrastructure often goes to areas that already have broadband, and the dollars never get to underserved areas like in my district. I was disappointed that this committee, in the markup of the American Rescue Plan, rejected my amendment to dedicate funds to rural areas for broadband. Will you commit Treasury to using its authority to see that in the American Rescue Plan, broadband is spent first and foremost in underserved rural areas?
Well, we need to distribute the funds to states, localities, territories, and the like, based on the requirements that are in the ARP, and using the funds for broadband or water or sewer for the state and local funding is certainly a permitted use, but we're going to give flexibility to the recipients of these funds as to precisely how they deploy them consistent with the requirements of the Act.
Thank you. And I look forward to working with you and Treasury on that. I appreciate that. I think we can work together on that. Final question. With the multi-trillion-dollar deficit spending bill just passed, the promise of an additional $3 trillion in spending by this administration on top of the $4 trillion in borrowing because of COVID last year, does the Treasury or the Fed or both of you intend to lengthen the maturity of government debt before interest rates rise?
Treasury has been looking at this question and has no current plans to do that.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.